In our journey to discover the power of speech, it's common to feel moments of silence, whether it's from fear, insecurity, or simply the weight of unspoken thoughts. But breaking that silence and embracing our voice can be a transformative experience. Here are some powerful steps that can help anyone shift from silence to speech and discover their unique voice. Acknowledge the silence. Recognizing why you're silent is a vital first step. Is it fear of judgment, self-doubt, or something else? Understanding the reason can help guide you toward a solution. Start small. Begin expressing yourself in small ways. This could be journaling, speaking with trusted friends, or even practicing in front of a mirror. Focus on topics you're passionate about. Talking about something you deeply care about can naturally boost confidence. Passion fuels conviction, making it easier to open up. Use visualization techniques. Imagine yourself in scenarios where you're confidently speaking. Visualization can rewire your brain to handle real situations with greater ease. Celebrate small wins. Each time you manage to speak up, even if it's just a few words, acknowledge your progress. Self-validation is essential to building confidence. Seek safe environments for practice. Join clubs, groups, or online communities where people support each other's growth and communication. Being around others with similar goals can be uplifting. Embrace vulnerability. Speaking your mind involves risk, but vulnerability is often what connects us. Leaning into this can make your words more powerful and authentic. The story. A journey from silence to speech. For as long as he could remember, Arav had been quiet. Some people might call him shy, others reserved, but he always thought of it as simply silent. The world around him buzzed with conversations, friends at school, siblings at home, and even strangers who seemed to effortlessly share their thoughts. But for Arav, words didn't come easily. In class, he'd sit at the back, hoping the teacher's gaze would skip over him during question time. He was clever and often knew the answers, but he couldn't bring himself to speak up. His notebooks were filled with meticulously written notes, his silent way of participating. But despite his excellent grades, Arav felt invisible. One morning, something changed. It was a subtle shift, perhaps even invisible to anyone else, but Arav felt it deep within himself. He was tired of the silence, tired of being an unseen observer in his own life. He didn't yet know how to break out, but he knew he wanted to. At home, his mother noticed his quiet frustration. She would often try to draw him out, asking about his day, his thoughts, his dreams. But Arav would simply smile and respond in brief sentences. She could see that there was more he wanted to say, but he always held back. One evening, when Arav was alone in his room, he took out a notebook and wrote a single line, "One day, I will be heard." He repeated this to himself, his first attempt at setting an intention. Though the words were only on paper, he felt as if he'd taken a small step toward a new beginning. A chance encounter. Not long after, Arav's school announced a project. Every student was required to present a short speech to the class on any topic of their choice. For most, this was just another assignment, but for Arav, it felt like a looming nightmare. His heart raced just thinking about it. How could he possibly stand in front of his classmates and speak? Yet, as he grappled with his fear, he thought of his notebook and the words he'd written. Perhaps this was his moment, an opportunity to take that next step. The night before the presentation, he practiced in front of the mirror, his words coming out stilted and awkward. His voice sounded strange to him, like it wasn't his own. But he kept practicing, repeating his lines until they began to feel more natural. When the day finally arrived, Arav's nerves were palpable. As he stood at the front of the class, he felt his heart pounding. His classmates' eyes seemed to pierce through him, waiting. He opened his mouth, and for a moment, nothing came out. The silence stretched, and he could feel a few people starting to whisper. But then, in a small, shaky voice, he began, "I've always been a quiet person. But today, I want to share why silence has been such a big part of my life." He continued, his words growing stronger with each sentence. He spoke of his fear, his struggle with self-doubt, and his desire to find his voice. As he finished, the room was silent. Not the empty silence of loneliness, but a respectful, attentive silence. He'd done it. He'd spoken, and people had listened. The road to self-expression. Following that day, Arav felt a slight shift in how he approached communication. While he wasn't suddenly outgoing or talkative, he no longer avoided conversations as he once had. He began opening up to a few close friends, sharing bits of his thoughts and opinions. One friend, Samir, became particularly close. Samir had always been the extrovert of their group, effortlessly charming and confident. But he was also kind and patient with Arav, never rushing him to speak or mocking his hesitation. Instead, he listened, and through their friendship, Arav found a safe space to experiment with words. Over time, he shared stories with Samir, stories of his childhood, his dreams, and even the insecurities that kept him silent. Talking with Samir felt like lifting weights off his shoulders, freeing him from the burdens of unspoken thoughts. And with each conversation, Arav grew a little braver. One day, Samir mentioned a school club that focused on public speaking and storytelling. Arav's immediate reaction was to dismiss it, but Samir urged him, saying, "You have stories that people would love to hear. I think you should give it a try." After much thought, Arav decided to attend a meeting. He didn't have to speak if he didn't want to, and he could just listen and observe. To his surprise, the group was welcoming and warm. They shared personal stories, embarrassing moments, and dreams. No one was perfect, and no one expected him to be. Gradually, Arav began participating. At first, he only shared short anecdotes, but soon, he found himself standing before the group, sharing stories he'd never told anyone. With each meeting, he felt his confidence growing, like a flame slowly growing brighter. A transformative moment. As his comfort with speaking grew, Arav felt a new excitement, a sense of purpose. He wasn't just speaking for himself anymore, he was sharing experiences that resonated with others. People began approaching him, saying they related to his stories of silence, his struggle to find his voice. One day, he was invited to speak at a school event, a small gathering meant to inspire younger students. This would be his largest audience yet, and the thought filled him with both fear and anticipation. But he remembered his journey, the steps he'd taken to reach this point, and he knew he had to try. As he stood on the stage, he looked out at the sea of faces, young students who reminded him of himself. Taking a deep breath, he began, "I used to think that my voice didn't matter. That silence was safer. But I realized that each of us has something important to say." His words flowed, not perfectly, but with authenticity and passion. He spoke about fear, vulnerability, and courage, the very things that had shaped his journey from silence to speech. And as he finished, the applause felt like an affirmation, a validation of everything he'd worked for. After his speech at the school event, something in Arav changed. He no longer felt invisible. That applause was like an echo in his mind, reminding him that his voice mattered. He wasn't seeking attention, but he knew now that he could be heard, and that he had something meaningful to say. As the weeks passed, Arav began to notice a shift in how people approached him. His classmates who once saw him as the quiet kid now came to him with questions, seeking his perspective on schoolwork, or even sharing their own insecurities. Some would approach him after class and say, "I'm not good at speaking either. How did you do it?" Arav listened to them with patience and empathy, remembering all too well the struggle of silence. He shared what he could, offering small tips and encouragements, and always made sure they knew he was listening without judgment. This became a new source of pride for Arav. Not only had he found his voice, but he could help others find theirs too. An unexpected challenge. One afternoon, Arav's teacher approached him with an unexpected request. She asked if he'd be interested in joining a school debate team. Arav's heart skipped a beat. Debate? He immediately felt his mind racing with objections. Debate wasn't like storytelling. It wasn't just sharing personal thoughts. It was about presenting arguments, facing opposition, and convincing others. He felt a wave of fear, but also a sense of curiosity. Could he really do it? Could he stand up and defend a viewpoint with logic and conviction? After thinking it over, Arav decided to give it a try. It felt like the next step in his journey. He joined the debate club and was paired with a more experienced teammate named Ria. Ria was sharp, quick-witted, and confident. Everything Arav felt he wasn't. At first, he struggled to keep up with her rapid-fire arguments, feeling overwhelmed by her intensity. But Ria, noticing his hesitation, took him aside one day and said, "Debate isn't just about talking fast or being the loudest. It's about finding the truth in what you're saying and believing it." Her words struck him deeply. He realized that debating wasn't about proving someone else wrong. It was about standing firm in his own beliefs. He practiced speaking more assertively, focused on building logical arguments, and learned to articulate his ideas in a way that felt genuine. The first time he debated in front of an audience, he was nervous, but as he began to speak, he felt a surge of confidence. He realized he didn't need to match Ria's style. He had his own approach, calm, measured, and thoughtful, and it worked. People listened, and by the end of the debate, he felt a rush of accomplishment. He hadn't just spoken, he had stood up for his beliefs, encouraging others to find their voice. As Arav's confidence grew, he began to think about the countless other students who, like him, felt silenced by fear. He wanted to help them in any way he could. One day, he proposed an idea to his teacher. What if they started a group for students who struggled with public speaking, a safe space where they could practice without judgment? His teacher loved the idea, and within weeks they formed the Speak Up Club. Arav led the group with empathy, encouraging members to share their stories, no matter how small or personal. He created exercises that helped them break out of their shells, from sharing a few words to gradually building up to longer speeches. One student in particular, Mira, caught his attention. Mira reminded him of himself, quiet, reserved, and often overlooked. In the group's meetings, she rarely spoke, and Arav could sense the fear in her eyes. He made a special effort to engage her, asking questions, sharing his own struggles, and reassuring her that she didn't have to rush. After weeks of silence, Mira finally opened up. She spoke hesitantly, her voice barely audible, but as she shared her story, Arav saw a glimpse of the courage it took for her to speak. The group listened intently, and when she finished, everyone applauded. Mira's face lit up with a mixture of surprise and relief. She had been heard, and that simple act changed something inside her. Watching Mira's transformation reminded Arav of his own journey and filled him with gratitude for the people who had encouraged him along the way. He saw how powerful a supportive environment could be and felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing he was now able to provide that for others. Finding purpose beyond himself. As the months went on, Arav began to think about the impact he wanted to have in the world. His journey from silence to speech had been transformative, and he knew there were countless others like him who needed encouragement. One day, he stumbled upon a flyer for a community storytelling event, inviting people of all ages to come and share stories that had shaped their lives. The theme for the event was Finding Your Voice. The title felt like fate, like it was calling to him directly. Arav knew he had to participate. He spent days preparing, carefully crafting his speech. He wanted to share not only his journey, but also the message that each person's voice mattered. On the day of the event, he was nervous but also excited. As he stood before the audience, he looked out and saw people of all ages, students, parents, teachers, community members, all there to listen. Taking a deep breath, Arav began his story. He spoke about his struggles with silence, the fear of being judged, and the journey he'd taken to find his voice. He spoke of Mira and the Speak Up Club, about the courage it took for each member to speak up. As he shared, he saw faces in the audience light up with understanding, as if they too had experienced similar struggles. When he finished, the applause was overwhelming. But more than that, people came up to him afterward, sharing their own stories of silence and self-discovery. One man said, "You know, I've spent most of my life afraid to speak up. Hearing your story has given me hope that maybe it's not too late for me." Arav left the event with a profound sense of purpose. He realized that his voice was no longer just for himself. It was a tool to inspire and empower others. The unfinished journey. Arav's journey from silence to speech remains ongoing. Every day brings new challenges, new opportunities to connect, and new moments of growth. He continues to lead the Speak Up Club, helping others find their voices and occasionally speaks at community events, sharing his story and encouraging others to break free from their own silence. He knows that the journey to self-expression is a lifelong process, one that requires courage, vulnerability, and a willingness to keep growing. But he's learned that while silence may once have felt safe, speech, no matter how imperfect, is a powerful gift. Through his voice, he has found not only connection and purpose, but also a deeper understanding of himself. Love, Arav's evolving voice, embracing new challenges. After his speech at the community event, Arav felt a shift, a sense of responsibility to use his voice for something greater. His journey from silence had brought him to a point where he could no longer ignore the impact of his words. He had begun helping others find their voice, yet he knew his own evolution was far from complete. One afternoon, his teacher introduced him to the idea of volunteering at a local community center. They needed someone to help teach basic communication skills to a group of underprivileged children. At first, Arav felt hesitant. Teaching? He wasn't sure he was ready for that. But the idea intrigued him, and he decided to give it a shot. The first lesson. On his first day, Arav walked into the community center feeling nervous but determined. A group of children sat in a small room, their eyes flickering with curiosity and uncertainty. Some of them were shy, avoiding eye contact, while others sat with an air of disinterest, wondering what a communication class could possibly offer them. Arav introduced himself, sharing a bit of his own story in a way he hoped they could relate to. He told them about his early years of silence, how he'd once been too afraid to speak up. Some of the children seemed to relate, especially one boy named Rahul, who sat at the back, looking down at his shoes. Arav could sense a kindred spirit in him. He started with simple exercises, encouraging the kids to say their names aloud, sharing one thing they liked about themselves. It was harder than he expected. The children's shyness reminded him of his own, and he had to be patient, coaxing them with gentle encouragement. Rahul, in particular, barely spoke. When it was his turn, he mumbled his name so quietly that it was almost inaudible. Arav recognized that hesitation. It was a feeling he knew intimately. He gently approached Rahul after the session, saying, "You know, I used to be just like you. It's okay to start small, even if it's just one word." As the weeks passed, Arav built a rapport with the children. He found that communication was more than just speaking. It was about listening, understanding, and connecting on a deeper level. For Rahul and the others, he created exercises that weren't just about words but about finding their own unique forms of expression, through drawing, writing, or even silent gestures. Each small success felt like a victory, not only for the children but for Arav as well. He realized that teaching wasn't about filling others with knowledge. It was about drawing out what was already within them. And in doing so, he found that he too was discovering new parts of himself. An unexpected invitation. One evening, Arav received an unexpected invitation, a letter from a nearby university asking if he would be interested in sharing his story at their annual youth summit. The theme was Voices of Change, focusing on young people who had made a difference in their communities. At first, Arav thought it must be a mistake. Why would they invite him? He was just a high school student, and although he'd made some progress, he didn't feel he was qualified to speak at a university event. But his teacher encouraged him, saying, "Sometimes it's the quiet voices that resonate the most. You've already touched so many lives, Arav. This could be a chance to inspire even more." With a mix of excitement and fear, he decided to accept the invitation. The summit would be his largest audience yet, and he spent weeks preparing, honing his speech, and refining his message. He wanted to convey that finding one's voice was not a destination but a journey, a continuous process of self-discovery and courage. On the day of the summit, Arav stood on stage, facing a hall filled with students, professors, and community leaders. He took a deep breath and began, his voice steady and calm. He shared the story of his silence, the small steps he'd taken to break free, and the moments of connection that had shown him the power of speech. As he spoke, he saw nods of understanding, smiles of encouragement, and even a few teary eyes. When he finished, the applause was overwhelming. But more than that, People came up to him afterward, sharing their own stories, thanking him for giving them hope. One professor said, "I see students struggling with self-expression every day. Your story will stay with them and with me." The experience left Arav feeling both humbled and motivated. He realized that his voice was not only a tool for self-expression but also a bridge, a way to connect with others, to inspire, and to bring about change. Embracing new forms of expression. As Arav's journey continued, he found himself drawn to other forms of communication. He began exploring writing, pouring his thoughts and experiences into essays, poems, and short stories. Writing became another way for him to articulate his thoughts and emotions, to capture the complexity of his journey from silence to speech. He also experimented with art, discovering that sometimes images could express what words couldn't. Through painting, he found a new way to share his feelings, his struggles, and his hopes. Each stroke on the canvas felt like a release, a silent expression of the things he couldn't always put into words. One day, he decided to combine his love for storytelling and art by creating a blog. He called it Voices Unbound, a space where he could share not only his own journey but also the stories of others who had faced similar struggles. He invited people from his community to contribute, creating a platform for those who had yet to find their voice. The blog quickly gained a following, with readers from all over reaching out to share how Arav's words had touched them. He received messages from people of all ages, young students, adults, even elderly readers, who had found solace and inspiration in his story. Through the blog, Arav felt a renewed sense of purpose. He realized that his journey was far from over. There were still countless people who needed encouragement, who needed to know that their voices mattered. A conversation with Rahul. One day, Rahul, the boy from the community center, approached Arav with a hesitant smile. He was holding a small notebook, and Arav noticed he looked both nervous and excited. "I wanted to show you something," Rahul said, opening the notebook to reveal pages filled with drawings and words. Arav looked at the sketches, simple but expressive, capturing moments from Rahul's life. The words were short phrases, sentences here and there, but each one conveyed a powerful story. Arav felt a wave of pride and emotion as he looked at Rahul's work. "This is incredible, Rahul. You have so much to share, and you're already finding your own way to do it." Rahul looked down, blushing slightly. "I wanted to tell you, I'm not so afraid to speak up anymore. You helped me see that my voice matters. Thank you." Hearing those words touched Arav deeply. He realized that every small step he'd taken had not only changed his own life but had created a ripple effect, empowering others to break their silence. A new beginning. As Arav continued his journey, he understood that from silence to speech wasn't a single achievement. It was a lifelong path. There would always be new challenges, new fears, and new opportunities to connect. But he had found something within himself that no one could take away. His voice, his courage, and his commitment to helping others find theirs. Tips for going from silence to speech. Finding and embracing your voice. 1. Understand the root of your silence. Why it matters. The first step to overcoming silence is understanding where it comes from. Many people are quiet because of fear. Fear of judgment, of saying the wrong thing, or simply of not being heard. Identifying this root cause can help you address it directly. How to do it. Reflect on past situations where you felt silenced or hesitant to speak. Ask yourself what made you hold back. Was it fear of making mistakes, low confidence, or feeling unworthy? Writing down these thoughts can help you see patterns and clarify what's holding you back. Example. If you realize you're afraid of being judged, remind yourself that everyone makes mistakes and that communication is about connecting, not perfection. Embrace the idea that your voice is unique and imperfections can make you relatable. Second, start small and gradual. Why it matters. Diving into public speaking or complex conversations right away can be intimidating. Starting small allows you to build confidence step by step. How to do it. Begin with low-pressure situations. Practice talking more in casual settings, like ordering food at a restaurant, asking a question in class, or even talking to yourself to clarify your thoughts. Example: Arav's journey began with a single story he shared in a comfortable environment. Find a friend or family member who supports you and share something small with them. Gradually, expand to larger audiences as you feel more comfortable. 3. Practice active listening. Why it matters. Good communication isn't just about speaking, it's also about listening. By actively listening, you learn how others express themselves and improve your own ability to connect. How to do it. When in a conversation, focus on understanding the other person's words, emotions, and nonverbal cues. Avoid thinking about your response while they're speaking and give them your full attention. This shows respect and encourages others to listen to you in return. Example: try repeating back what someone says to confirm understanding. For example, it sounds like you're saying you feel overlooked in meetings. Is that right? Use body language to reinforce confidence. Why it matters. Body language is a powerful part of communication, and it can influence how others perceive you as well as how you feel about yourself. How to do it. Practice. Maintaining good posture, eye contact, and relaxed gestures. Even if you feel nervous, standing tall and maintaining eye contact can make you feel more confident. Example: try practicing in front of a mirror or recording yourself. Notice if you're slouching, avoiding eye contact, or fidgeting. Adjust these to show openness and confidence, even if you're feeling uncertain. This helps you look and feel more assured. 5. Embrace imperfection. Why it matters. Many people stay silent because they're afraid of making mistakes. However, mistakes are natural, and embracing them as learning opportunities makes you a more authentic and relatable speaker. How to do it. Shift your mindset from, "I need to say this perfectly," to, "I'll give my best." If you stumble over words or lose your train of thought, smile, take a deep breath, and continue. Remember, it's okay to pause and gather your thoughts. Example: Arav faced setbacks and nervousness, but each experience made him stronger. Embrace that mistakes can be part of your growth journey. Tell yourself, "Every time I speak up, I'm learning." 6. Practice visualization techniques. Why it matters. Visualization can help you overcome fear by mentally rehearsing positive outcomes. By imagining yourself speaking confidently, you reduce anxiety and prepare yourself for real situations. How to do it. Take a few moments before any conversation or presentation to close your eyes and imagine yourself speaking clearly and confidently. Picture the audience reacting positively and yourself feeling calm and successful. Example: before his community event, Arav visualized himself speaking smoothly and connecting with the audience. By visualizing success, he was able to reduce his anxiety and improve his performance. 7. Find a supportive community or mentor. Why it matters. Having a supportive environment can make a huge difference in building confidence. A mentor or community provides encouragement, constructive feedback, and motivation. How to do it. Look for a local group, club, or even an online community where you can practice speaking. Alternatively, find a mentor who understands your struggles and can guide you through your journey. Example: Arav started a Speak Up Club where others could share their stories without judgment. You can join a similar group or create your own with friends who are also looking to improve their communication. 8. Use writing as a tool to organize thoughts. Why it matters. Writing helps clarify your thoughts, which makes it easier to express them verbally. It can also reveal topics or insights you didn't realize you had. How to do it. Start a journal or a blog to practice articulating your thoughts. Write down ideas you're passionate about or personal experiences you'd like to share. This can improve your confidence in speaking because you've already organized your thoughts. Example: Arav created his blog, Voices Unbound, which helped him refine his voice. By writing regularly, he grew more comfortable with expressing his ideas and built confidence in his ability to connect with others. 9. Breakdown. The fear of public speaking. Why it matters. Public speaking is one of the most common fears. Breaking down this fear into manageable steps makes it less intimidating. How to do it? Start by speaking in front of a mirror, then to a small group of trusted friends, and gradually increase the audience size. Practice breathing exercises to stay calm and focus on one point at a time, rather than trying to memorize everything perfectly. Example: Arav overcame his fear by starting with small audiences and building his way up to larger events. Remember that confidence grows with experience, and even seasoned speakers started with small steps. 10. Celebrate small wins. Why it matters. Acknowledging your progress, no matter how small, boosts your confidence and motivates you to keep going. How to do it. After each speaking experience, take a moment to reflect on what went well. Celebrate even the smallest improvements, like speaking a little louder or maintaining eye contact. Example: Arav celebrated each milestone, from sharing in his school to speaking at the community center. By recognizing his achievements, he built a sense of pride and courage to keep going. 11th. Adapt to different communication styles. Why it matters. Different settings and audiences may require different approaches. Adapting helps you communicate effectively across various situations, from formal presentations to casual conversations. How to do it. Observe the communication styles of those around you and adjust accordingly. For instance, you might use a more formal tone in presentations, but keep it casual and approachable with friends. Practice switching between styles to build versatility. Example: Arav adjusted his approach based on his audience, using a conversational tone with the kids he taught and a more formal style during his speech at the summit. Being flexible allowed him to connect with diverse audiences. 12. Stay persistent and patient. Why it matters. Finding and using your voice is a gradual journey. Setbacks and challenges are natural, but persistence is key to long-term growth. How to do it. Remind yourself that improvement takes time and it's okay to progress at your own pace. If you face a setback, view it as a learning experience, not a failure. Example: Arav's journey was filled with ups and downs, but he kept going. Remember that each step, no matter how small, brings you closer to your goal of confident communication. 13th. Practice self-compassion. Why it matters. Often, people are harsh critics of their own speaking abilities, leading to negative self-talk and discouragement. Being kind to yourself is essential to staying motivated and resilient. How to do it. When you catch yourself thinking negatively about a speaking experience, I sounded awkward, they weren't interested, pause and reframe your thoughts. Remind yourself that every speaker, even professionals, has days when they don't feel at their best. Example: Arav learned to view his early stumbles as part of his growth, not failures. After each speaking experience, instead of focusing on mistakes, celebrate what went well. This builds a positive mindset that fosters improvement. 14. Develop a personal mantra. Why it matters. A personal mantra, or a statement of purpose, can ground you and bring calmness before you speak. It reminds you why you're speaking and keeps you focused on the bigger picture rather than immediate fears. How to do it. Create a short, powerful statement like, "My voice is worth hearing," or "I speak to connect, not to impress." Repeat this mantra silently to yourself before any challenging speaking situation to reinforce self-belief. Example: Arav's mantra became, "Every story I tell has a purpose." Repeating it helped him focus on the value of his message, even when he felt nervous. Try creating a mantra that resonates with you and use it to calm your mind. 15. Use the power of pause. Why it matters. Pausing creates emphasis and adds a natural rhythm to your speech. It gives the listener time to process and allows you to gather your thoughts, helping you stay calm and articulate. How to do it. Practice adding a brief pause after each main point, especially before important statements. This adds weight to your words and shows confidence. Avoid rushing. Slower, deliberate speech feels more impactful and reduces filler words. Example: Arav found that pausing helped him slow down, reducing his anxiety. Try practicing with short pauses in your conversations. It may feel unnatural at first, but over time, it can become a powerful part of your speaking style. 16. Master the art of storytelling. Why it matters. Storytelling is one of the most compelling ways to communicate. People remember stories far more than facts alone. Stories also allow you to share your experiences and emotions, building a genuine connection. How to do it. Start by structuring your story with a clear beginning, middle, and end. The beginning should introduce the context, the middle should explore the challenges or main points, and the end should offer a resolution or insight. Practice sharing small anecdotes and gauge the reactions of others. Example: Arav's story about his early silence and gradual growth was relatable and powerful. Think of moments in your life that taught you something meaningful and practice sharing them. Remember to keep it genuine and focus on how it relates to your listener. 17th, experiment with vocal variety. Why it matters. Vocal variety, changes in pitch, tone, and volume, helps keep your audience engaged. A monotone voice can make even the most interesting stories seem dull, while vocal variety adds energy and emotion. How to do it. Practice speaking with slight variations in tone and pitch based on the emotion you want to convey. For example, raise your pitch when you're excited or lower it to create suspense. Practice with a recording to hear how different tones affect your message. Example: Arav realized that using different tones helped make his stories more engaging. Try experimenting by reading a passage aloud, focusing on varying your pitch and tone. Notice how these small changes make your words more dynamic. 18. Learn from other speakers. Why it matters. Observing skilled communicators can give you insights into techniques you can adapt for yourself. By studying others, you gain new ideas and build your own unique style. How to do it. Watch speeches, TED Talks, or even popular podcasts. Pay attention to body language, vocal variety, storytelling, and how they engage the audience. Take notes on techniques you admire and practice incorporating similar elements into your own speaking. Example: Arav spent time watching speeches online, noting what made each speaker captivating. Find speakers who inspire you and pay attention to what draws you in. This can accelerate your growth and inspire confidence. 19. Learn to manage adrenaline. Why it matters. Nervousness often stems from adrenaline, which causes physical symptoms like a racing heart or shaky hands. Understanding how to manage adrenaline can help you feel calm and in control. How to do it. Practice slow, deep breathing exercises before speaking. Taking slow breaths lowers your heart rate and sends a message to your brain that you're safe. If possible, get some light exercise beforehand, as it can reduce anxiety by releasing endorphins. Example: Arav practiced deep breathing to calm his nerves before speaking. If you notice nervous symptoms, focus on your breath for a few minutes. Over time, this becomes a powerful tool for managing speaking anxiety. 20. Turn self-doubt into curiosity. Why it matters. Self-doubt often holds people back from speaking up. By replacing doubt with curiosity, you can open yourself to new experiences without worrying too much about outcomes. How to do it. Instead of thinking, "What if I fail?" ask yourself, "What can I learn from this?" Or, "How will I feel after I try?" Curiosity shifts focus from potential mistakes to growth opportunities, making you feel more open to the experience. Example: Arav learned to approach each speaking event as a chance to learn, rather than something to be afraid of. Embrace a similar mindset by focusing on what you can gain from each speaking opportunity, regardless of the outcome. 21. Focus on your message, not yourself. Why it matters. Anxiety often arises from worrying about how others see us. Shifting focus from yourself to your message can reduce self-consciousness and improve your delivery. How to do it. Remind yourself of the importance of your message. Think about why it matters to the listener, rather than worrying about how you come across. Focusing on the value of your words makes it easier to overcome nervousness. Example: Arav found confidence by focusing on the impact he wanted to make, not on how he looked or sounded. Remember, your message is what matters most. Let that be your guide. 22nd. Embrace silence as a powerful tool. Why it matters. Silence can be as powerful as speech. Pausing before responding or after a major point adds impact and lets your message sink in for the listener. How to do it. Practice allowing moments of silence between thoughts or after questions. Don't rush to fill every silence with words. Embrace it as a part of your expression and a way to give the audience time to reflect. Example: when Arav paused after a major point, he noticed the audience leaning in, paying closer attention. Don't be afraid to use silence intentionally. It adds weight to your words and gives you time to think. 23. Get comfortable with eye contact. Why it matters. Eye contact shows confidence and builds trust. It helps the audience feel acknowledged and engaged, making them more receptive to your message. How to do it. Practice making brief, gentle eye contact with each person if you're in a small group, or look across different sections of the room if speaking to a larger audience. Start with short eye contact and gradually increase as you get more comfortable. Example: Arav practiced eye contact by talking to friends, looking at each person for a few seconds. Try it yourself in low-pressure situations to build comfort. 24. Harness the power of empathy. Why it matters. Empathy allows you to connect with your audience on a personal level, helping you tailor your message to resonate deeply. How to do it. Put yourself in your listener's shoes and consider what they might want or need to hear. Acknowledge their perspective and adjust your message accordingly. This shows respect and builds rapport, making your message more impactful. Example: Arav connected with children by remembering his own struggles. Think about your audience's background, interests, or fears, and use this understanding to create a message that speaks directly to them. 25. Keep practicing and seeking new opportunities. Why it matters. Practice is the foundation of confidence. The more you practice, the more natural and comfortable you'll feel. Seek new opportunities that allow you to expand your speaking abilities. How to do it. Don't wait for big events to practice. Speak up in everyday settings, volunteer for presentations, and push yourself to try new communication settings. Example: Arav took on multiple small challenges, each helping him grow. Likewise, use every chance to practice, from casual chats to group discussions. Embrace every experience as a step forward. 26. Challenge. Negative thought patterns. Why it matters. Negative thoughts can spiral into self-doubt, which can make speaking up feel intimidating. By identifying and challenging these thoughts, you create a healthier mindset that allows for growth and self-expression. How to do it. When you notice a negative thought like "I'll sound silly" or "no one will care," question it. Ask yourself, is this really true? Replace it with a positive factual statement such as, "I have something valuable to share," or "People may be interested in my perspective." Example: Arav learned to counter his fears with positive affirmations. By identifying negative patterns, he reminded himself of his progress. You can try the same by repeating affirming statements before speaking, shifting your focus to self-support rather than self-criticism. 27th. Embrace the power of visualization and affirmations. Why it matters. Visualization and affirmations can help reinforce confidence and prepare you mentally for speaking experiences. They create a positive feedback loop in your mind, reducing anxiety and building anticipation. How to do it. Spend a few minutes each day visualizing a successful speaking scenario. Imagine yourself speaking clearly and confidently, and see the positive reactions of your audience. Pair this with affirmations like, "I am confident," or "My words have value," to reinforce positive expectations. Example: Arav used visualization to rehearse his stories in his mind, picturing success before stepping onto a stage. Try incorporating visualization into your routine to reinforce self-belief and ease nervousness. 28th. Seek constructive feedback from trusted sources. Why it matters. Honest feedback from trusted individuals can highlight areas of improvement and help you see your progress objectively. How to do it. Identify a mentor, friend, or group who can offer feedback without judgment. Ask specific questions like, "Did I seem confident?" or "How was my pacing?" Listen openly and use their input to refine your skills. Example: Arav sought feedback from a trusted friend who helped him identify areas where he could slow down or add emphasis. Having a feedback partner can offer insights you may not notice yourself. 29. Develop a pre-speaking routine. Why it matters. A consistent pre-speaking routine can help you feel grounded, energized, and ready. It primes your mind and body for the act of speaking, reducing last-minute jitters. How to do it. Create a short routine that includes deep breathing, visualization, and positive affirmations. Some people also find light stretching or meditation helpful. Develop a sequence that works for you and repeat it before each speaking opportunity. Example: Arav's pre-speaking routine included visualization, stretching, and repeating his mantra. Design a routine that includes calming techniques to keep you focused and confident. 30. Learn to use I statements to personalize your message. Why it matters. I statements help you express your personal perspective and avoid sounding accusatory, especially in sensitive discussions. They allow you to communicate feelings or thoughts without triggering defensiveness in others. How to do it. Use phrases like "I feel" or "in my experience" to clarify that you're sharing your own viewpoint. This can make your message sound open and personal, encouraging others to respond positively. Example: Arav used I statements to convey his experiences without making listeners feel pressured to agree. Practice using I statements to create a tone of openness in your conversations. 31. Cultivate curiosity in conversations. Why it matters. Curiosity can make conversations more engaging and help you build connections. Showing interest in others encourages them to listen to you in return. How to do it. Ask open-ended questions that invite others to share their experiences or opinions. Show genuine interest in their responses, and use follow-up questions to keep the dialogue flowing. Example: Arav became more curious about others' stories, which helped him develop rapport. Practice active listening and ask questions to demonstrate curiosity. It can transform even simple conversations into meaningful exchanges. 32nd. Practice mindfulness to stay present. While speaking why it matters. Staying present helps you focus on the conversation itself, rather than getting lost in self-conscious thoughts or worries. How to do it. Practice mindfulness exercises like focusing on your breath or tuning into your surroundings. When you catch your mind wandering, gently redirect your focus back to the person you're speaking with. Example: Arav found mindfulness helpful in calming his nerves before a speech. Practicing mindfulness will help you remain centered and engaged, improving the quality of your interactions.